How's it going, Mike?
Drinking his gasoline, getting ready for the magic about to happen.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I've twisted your arm again, so we're super early in the morning, 5 o'clock. So thank you for joining us. And how you feeling today?
I'm good, man. It's just the initial part of getting out of the bed when I look at the clock and it's still in the fours.
Yeah,
there's something alien and foreign about that. You know, I used to do it all the time, but now it's pretty terrible at first. But once you get up, you're okay.
Yeah, that's right. It is pretty. It's just not. Something just doesn't feel right about it. I mean, but
no, it's not right. There's nothing biological about it. You would not be waking up for something to go hunting or trying to gather food. That's why at 6 you feel okay. You know, the sun's up. You're like, oh, I can see shit. That works better. But
yeah.
I like it. We're bucking the system. Fuck you, God. Whoa.
Whoa. Easy. No, but yeah, I mean, we got news to cover. There's topics, there's news, there's things going on that are just dying for our opinions. So here we are. Now, the first thing I saw, and I'm sure you've seen this, that kind of jumped out at me is, one of your favorite shows, Jeopardy, has been looking for a host for a while. Have you been following this? They finally settled on, I'm going to butcher the name. Is it Mayim Bialik?
That's close enough. She's Blossom. 90s Blossom. And
exactly.
Also from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. What do you think about the news?
Well, look, I was following the story at first, and then I thought it was settled, okay? Because she was weirdly supposed to be the host for primetime events and special occasions, and then the old producer of the show was going to be the everyday host. But I think something happened along the way where the old producer kind of got in some hot water about something, which I don't recall, and then she took over. Is she the full-time host now, or just the one for the special occasions?
From what I've seen, she's the full-time. Yeah, so she kind of went on a little bit of a tour where, people were, interviewing her on the new gig. So from what I can tell, I didn't know about the whole primetime thing. I didn't know that there was... I don't even know who else they were considering. Is this, the main reason I ask you is I know you used to follow this a lot. You've actually, what's the word? You probably, you actually looked into going on the show before just because you're really into trivia and stuff like that. But do you know who else they were considering? Yeah. And is this a good pick?
Well, it's a great pick. I mean, first of all, she's actually pretty smart. I believe she was a neuroscientist. She has a degree in it. And
yeah.
So she actually is an intelligent person and well-spoken. She is an actress, and she just made a shit ton of money off The Big Bang Theory for the last 7 or 8 years, or however long she was on there. And but yeah, there was some controversy about this because initially the guy who had been running the show for quite some time, the showrunner, the producer, decided, hey, we found the new host of Jeopardy, and it's me. It's going to be me. And then something came up. He was a white guy. Something came up with him, and he had some controversy. I think we should probably look that up before we, get too far into that.
Okay.
1 second. Okay, there it is. Mike Richards resigned as the new host of Jeopardy last month after his sexist comments and offensive language from an old podcast were uncovered by The Ringer. He was subsequently removed as the show's executive producer. So there we go. So now we have to find
the producer,
what he actually said.
The producer was actually going to be the host?
Yeah, because he said, look, I've been running this fucking shit show for quite some time. I've been waiting for old Trebek to kick the bucket. He finally has. It's my time in the sun. Because producers wanted to be actors and they wanted to be hosts. They just ended up producing. So now he was going to take over, and they, Mayim, I'm just going to call her that because I butcher her name every time, was probably the front runner, and he said, you know what, you're good. I'm going to use you for special occasions, but on the day-to-day, on the daily grind, no need for you to get your hands dirty on that one. So I'm going to take over, and you just come in like 3 or 4 times a year. But apparently, let's find out what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about it. I don't know really much about Jeopardy. I've only watched a handful of times, and I know Trebek probably didn't have a ton of star power before he was picked, but...
Well, he'd been on there so long, who fucking knows? I mean,
but being as big of a show as it seems to be, and how like important they seem to make these hosts and stuff. Going for the producer just seems like kind of silly, or like that it just didn't seem like. I mean, there was actual like celebrities that wanted the job. Like I know there's this radio host I used to listen to who does all sports, but he used to do Sports Center. His name's Dan Patrick. He said like that was his dream job. He always wanted to host Jeopardy. So I'm assuming there's like at least some other actors or types like that wanted the job.
Okay. Now, there's no doubt that she was a better pick overall. She had star power. She's actually intelligent, and she's pretty. Not that matters in today's world. But here's what happened with Mr. Mike Richards. Mike Richards, I'm going to read this. He made a series of offensive comments about women, unhoused people, Haitian people, Jewish people, and more throughout the tenure of his podcast. He actually used to host a podcast. He also repeatedly used the R slur. What is the R slur? I don't even know the slur. I can't think of what would be R.
I'm going
off the rails here.
Yeah, I'm not thinking. I don't know off the top of my head.
It can't be that bad if I can't even think of it. And he also apparently had some assistants on the show, which is a podcast. So is it really assistants or is it just ladies in the room? And then he asked his pictures. He asked his co-host if they'd ever taken nude pictures, and they said yes. And then he wanted to scroll through their phone to find them, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing you. I'm losing you a little bit, but from what I heard of that last part, that last part's a little creepy. So.
It's a fucking Did you ever listen to morning radio? That used to be the norm. They were always trying to get some naked photos or something. It's a little creepy for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. No one wanted this guy anyway. I'm glad he's replaced.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, I mean, number one. Yeah, I mean, I do find that a little creepy. I mean, I don't know the whole morning talk world, but if that's like part of it and you're getting people who kind of know what they're signing up for, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think people that do that in normal life, I mean, I would think that's creepy, I mean, I don't know.
I honestly wouldn't. I mean, sure, usually it's kind of in on the joke, right? We treat women like they're fucking 2-year-olds. It's like, oh no, the poor victim. It's supposed to be an equivalent of the same power as the guy in the room. She can tell him to fuck off if she wants to. I mean, I have a daughter. I don't want to raise a damsel in distress. I want to raise a strong fucking girl who can tell that guy to go get fucked if she wants to. And if you constantly coddle and protect, I don't get the dichotomy there. How you could say that they're equal and then say they're constantly victimized and oppressed.
You want exactly. You want them to be able to protect themselves and be prepared for any situation for sure. But so I don't think saying that that's creepy behavior by that guy. I don't think that's like coddling, in my opinion. I'm saying I think the guy's being creepy. He can do what he wants to do. People can hang out with him if they want to hang out with him. I just, like if I was around a person like that, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to. That's not somebody who I would really want to spend a lot of time with. I just find that kind of creepy, And I want my kid to be able to see that and know, okay, I don't want to be around this person. I don't want to work around this person, and but no, I don't see it as coddling,
And first of all, I don't know what this. Look, we're getting the third party review of this, and so just keep in mind, bear in mind, all the things that have come before when some guy is accused of this, and what is he accused of? Being a little creepy. That's what we have so far. So I don't want to go off too far on a tangent on it, but I just think women are either equal or they're not. They can either handle themselves or not. Now, is this guy a good guy? I don't know. I didn't listen to the show. But this guy was fired for making creepy comments and using the R slur. We don't even know what the fucking R slur was.
Yeah.
That's my point. I'm kind of getting at here. Not that I care about this guy. I hope he, loses all of his money and becomes an unhoused person that he used to make fun of. But I'm just glad that Blossom from the 90s is now hosting Jeopardy. I think she's a much better fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't care about the guy either. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I think we've made our point. I mean, I think it's, yeah. I think it's creep. But I mean, at the same time, you know, nobody's asking guys that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I know guys, we kind of break each other's balls a little bit. You know, guys kind of tease each other. Sometimes it gets physical, whatever. You know, I grew up playing football, locker rooms. I mean, I saw, like, you know, some pretty good picking on each other kind of thing, and sometimes it would cross the line, sometimes it wouldn't. But, you know, I'm not saying that what the guy did is worse than that. I'm just saying, I just think it's creepy. I wouldn't want my kids, my wife, I wouldn't want to be around that person. But anyway, we're kind of we've kind of gone off the rails, like you said, a little bit, because the only reason I
want to make the whole show.
So the only reason I actually brought this topic up, this was because I wanted to talk about something else. She was actually on a late night show. I think it's Corden, who actually seems to do it.
Yeah, James Corden,
who seems to be, you know, kind of entertaining a little bit. I saw a little clip that he was on, compared to, I mean, he doesn't get like overly political, like kind of Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and all them do. But so I wanted to get your take on this. So she was talking about, you know, she's going to be the host of Jeopardy, and for some reason he brought up, hey, the Tonys were last week, and she starts talking about how she's never really been into musicals. Did you see this at all?
Yeah, I did, actually. She doesn't like musicals, and she didn't stand up and applaud for Neil Patrick Harris.
Okay, yeah.
The story?
Yeah, exactly. So she, I guess back in her, I want to say it's during her Blossom days, she got invited to Rent, and I think Neil Patrick Harris he was super famous, just finished, I think, Doogie Howser, and she was sitting like on the front row. It was a huge standing ovation. She hates musicals. I guess he didn't know that she hated musicals, and she refused to stand. And she, like, her boyfriend or whoever she was with, she kind of said, I'm not standing. And anyway, they go to the back after the show, and I guess Neil Patrick Harris was really pissed. And their friendship was basically either ended for a good amount of time. Sounds like they're kind of friendly again now. But anyway, I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
Well, her reaction to the Broadway musical is probably similar to my reaction to Broadway musicals. I understand that some people really, really like it. I myself don't, and I've tried to make myself like it back when I wanted to be a lettered and articulate, scholarly gentleman. Back when I was actually in high school, and I thought I was going to be, you know, this Renaissance man, as you called me last episode, this world traveler, and steeped in all the arts and all the. I tried to sit down and I tried to watch a musical, and it's horrible. I'd rather watch the Outlaw Josie Wales or something like that. And then, so yeah, I totally get the fact that, you know, she didn't give it a standing ovation. That's kind of what she said he was pissed about. And I don't even know if he was really pissed, because those are produced segments, especially on James Corden and Stephen Colbert and all the rest of them. You know, they kind of go over the questions before they sit down and actually do the show, because they're trying to make a show. So they go through the questions, and he'll give her a list, and she'll bring some stuff up that's supposed to be interesting. And then they go back and forth for 5 or 6 minutes, and then they get these little sound bites that get everybody talking about it. So was Neil Patrick Harris really pissed about it? Probably not. Probably didn't even notice that she wasn't standing, because, you know, he's making money and he's doing what he loved. But it's just something to talk about, and it speaks to the better, you know, you don't have to like something just because other people like it. And if it's true, if all that stuff is true, and she didn't stand and she stuck to her guns, I just became a huge fan. I'm probably going to start recording like it's 1986, all the new episodes of Jeopardy. I'm going to pull up my old VCR if I can find it, and just. I have a DVR, but I'm going to use a VCR because I like nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you too. I hate musicals. I've never liked them. And you know, I mean, I guess it could have been produced. They could have talked about it. And I don't watch that show. It's the first time I've ever seen it, but it actually did seem kind of organic. If not, I mean, she's a damn good actress, because she got me.
She's a trained actress.
Yeah,
sir.
No, exactly.
Did you ever watch Blossom?
Never seen it, no. Never seen Big Bang Theory. I don't even know who this person is. I remember she was famous with Blossom, because at the time I remember people liked it, but I never saw it. You know, but it is, I mean, I think we've all been there before where a standing ovation is going on, or there's something, it's kind of the whole crowd is doing something. And for her, I mean, especially being friendly with the guy, I'm not saying she needed to do it, but I mean, that definitely takes a lot of, what's gumption kind of, like to just, hey, I really don't like musicals enough where I'm going to do this or whatever.
Maybe she was just being an obstinate snob, right?
Maybe.
She was because by not participating in the standing ovation, she's becoming part of the show, right? She's being a show for the person on the stage to tell them that she didn't like it that much. So go fuck yourself, Neil Patrick Harris. Or maybe it's not that serious. Either way, I like it. It's a better show than what was on stage. I think it was Rent was the musical.
It was Rent.
And I've heard tales of this musical, but I have no idea what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Now, big news, big announcement this week from Iowa. Chuck Grassley, the senator, who's president pro tem, he's announcing that he will run again. So this, which term is he going for? So Grassley is, I believe he's in his 80s. He was born in 1933. And
that's like 87.
yeah.
Okay.
So we've had this. I mean, obviously, these senator. If you're in, you can really stick around for a while. You talked about this before. Joe Biden being a career politician and all that stuff. So I want to say by the time if he's reelected, he'll be like 88. And so he's a Republican from Iowa. Most people saw him. I was kind of introduced to him during the Kavanaugh hearings. He was the Senate of the Judiciary Committee at the time, so he was like trying to keep that circus in check, and didn't do that good of a job, in my opinion. But who am I? But anyway, just getting your thoughts. Going for another term. What do you think?
Well, good for him. I'm glad to see he's living his best life well into his octogenarian years. As most people by his time are dead, for sure. And then a lot of people, some people, if they make it that far by his time, are in nursing homes. I used to walk down the aisles of my dad's nursing home because, we didn't really love him and we kind of just tucked him away in there and forgot about him for 10 years. So I'd walk down those halls and I'd see those 80-year-olds, wallowing around in their own feces and spittle. And, I kind of chuckle a bit as I walk by, as they are, kind of the light has gone out of their eyes. And, sometimes they would kind of just drool and try to wheel themselves with their one working arm towards you, and their hand would shake and come out to worry, please give me some human interaction. I was like, no human interaction for you disgusting shell of a person. So this guy is actually older than those people, and he's going to be sitting in for the vice president and making decisions about the legislation. And actually, I'm fine with that, because people have painted themselves into a corner. Because can we say now at this point, if we said that the guy's too old, well, that's ageism, right? There's an ism for everything. So he's clearly not too old, because there's no age limits. We have a president who's almost as old as he is, and he has the nuclear codes and can tell the entire armed forces to just go around the world and kill people and authorize drone strikes in Afghanistan. But that's neither here nor there. So I like the fact that this guy is just going to keep going to the end of time and always going to be making these important decisions, like this new bill that's coming up with the 2,500 pages that's probably going to pass at some point and take away all kinds of liberties and has all kinds of stuff hidden into it. It's probably the most pork-laden bill of all time. So I'm glad my president pro temp is going to be there to preside over these things. But he probably won't have to for this one, because the Kamala Harris will be there. What's your thoughts on this one, on this fading republic?
Yeah, so I think he was first elected, I want to say in 1973. So he's one of two senators who actually that are still remaining from the Jimmy Carter presidency. Now if you see Patrick Leahy, I don't know if you know who that guy is, but
I've heard the name.
Now Grassley seems to be a little like he's still got his wits about him. Patrick Leahy has a little bit of kind of Joe Biden, where he seems to kind of he kind of needs to like Control-Alt-Delete every once in a while. Grassley somehow he still seems to kind of keep it together. Good on him. But yeah, I mean, like, you would think he would want to go enjoy, like, maybe his great grandkids at this point or something. But hey,
I mean, his great grandkids are probably 70, or they're at least in their 40s, so they're well beyond that. And by the time you get down to great, do you even give a shit anymore? It's not even like you have no interaction with them, and your great grandchildren are really not going to pay a whole lot of attention to your words of wisdom, or maybe he just really likes what he does. Because I've always said that old people, if they can still have their faculties, are just like 40 and 50-year-olds. They just have a decaying carcass around them. Their body's just failing them. If their mind's still strong, who gives a shit, right? Everything doesn't have to be a blanket. The guy's either competent or he's not. Mm-hmm. And you can look at Joe Biden and you say, well, that guy's not competent. But this guy, if he still has all of his faculties and he's been doing the job for this long, and the people of his, they wanted to elect him to that position, then cool. No issues with it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Now, I know we've kind of avoided this story a little bit, but Gabby Petito, young, impressionable young woman who was, she's taken the news by storm, posthumously, unfortunately. But so my wife actually told me about this story like 2 weeks ago. She knows I pay attention to the news and like try to look for topics for us to talk about and stuff. And she's like, "Have you heard about this missing girl?" It's like, "No, I had like it just." For some reason, I just never came across it. And she's like, this is like a huge story. But obviously, like, the algorithm figured her out. Like, she saw the story, kind of kept popping up and whatever. Mm-hmm. But anyway, like, a really short recap. She was dating this guy named, I think she was like early 20s, was dating this guy named Brian. They decided to go on a road trip to go visit all the national parks. They drove from like Florida, went through Colorado, Wyoming, California, etc. And anyway, he comes back from the road trip alone, and without her, and lawyered up, and decided not to speak to police and investigators and so on. And then he went missing, and I think about a week ago they found Gabby's body in Wyoming, I believe. And they claim that it was the coroner says it was death by homicide. And so now they're looking for this girl, and also Dog the Bounty Hunter's on the case. He's down in Florida, turning over rocks. So, we almost talked about it a couple week ago and kind of stayed away from it a little bit. But anyway, just wondering what you think about this one.
It's a tragic story, because it's someone's daughter, mm-hmm. right? And then you get it down to that's the funny thing about the news. We can say, like, with those kids in Afghanistan, there was 10 of them. There's 7 kids and 10 people killed, and you're like, oh, that's terrible. That sucks. But it's even worse when you get down to one. You're like, you get all the details of their life, and especially because they're from the United States of America, which makes them superior to anybody else who dies in the world. So Gabby Petito, I guess they had some issues along the way, apparently, if the guy's on the run. But I have my own theories about this. I haven't devoted a whole lot of time to it in my head because there's so many stories, and this one just seems to be another unfortunate case of murder. But perhaps this Brian Landry, or however you want to pronounce his last name, I know if someone came back from a road trip and they'd taken my daughter out west to the Grand Tetons to see the world, she's young and she's having fun, and then they come back and she's not with him, and he won't give me any information about where she might be. I know that I would kill him because obviously he did something to my daughter, mm-hmm. and he doesn't get to live anymore because of that. So perhaps the father of Gabby Petito has killed Brian, which is fine, which is par for the course, that should happen. That's justice. So he should be a corpse if he left my daughter out west in the wilderness somewhere for her carcass to be eaten by wild animals. Then I would definitely kill him. So I hope that is what has happened with this young fellow, if in fact he did that. See, I don't know all the facts and details about the case. Maybe it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances. But it is kind of a strange story that he would just disappear and that he wouldn't give any details about what happened to her. So now, what is your take on that? What do you think happened to Brian?
So yeah, when I started looking into it, I got caught up watching. Apparently, along the way, they had the police called on them. I want to say at least 2 times. So there's one interaction you can actually see where I want to say it was Colorado. Let's just say
Utah, I believe.
Colorado, Utah. Footage. Maybe it was Utah, but yeah, there was some body cam footage where some police got called to the scene because somebody drove by and saw him like assaulting her in the van and stuff. And anyway, so they pull them away from each other. They're having a conversation with her. You know, she's all excited and amped up and stuff like that. And you know, so they basically ask for them to like separate and like give themselves some time. And again, these cops probably see this like 10 times a day, you know, domestic violence kind of stuff. And so they were just textbook, just asking questions, trying to like diffuse the situation and stuff like that. And I think it actually happened again in a different state. So, you know, and that what's interesting to me, and I don't even know why I did this, but like I started Googling her name, typed it in the first search like option that I guess is being searched a lot was Gabby Petito Instagram. And I was like, huh. Yeah, and I just went to it. You know, so she's not around anymore. She has this Instagram, and it's like, you know, all these great, you know, pictures of traveling and stuff. And, you know, from an outsider, you look at it and it's like, wow, look at this. This is a pretty perfect looking life, you know, just out, you know, all these videos out on like the mountains and camping, and oh, look at her and her loving boyfriend. I mean, wow, they really seem like they're in love, and wow, they're in good shape and young, impressionable, and you know, just seems like a, you know, perfect couple right there. And then you start seeing this stuff, and you're like, wow. And I mean, I think that's the interesting thing about social media too. You never really know what people are going through, and you know, you see this kind of perfect, you know, whatever somebody wants to put out there. Obviously, people don't want to air their dirty laundry, but you know, when you see, you know, what her social media was, apparently they had a YouTube channel that I haven't looked up, that they were documenting their travels across the world. But anyway, what's my take on it? I agree with you. If somebody took my daughter on a cross-country trip, came back alone, refused to talk to me, I would have a hard time to not throw them on the ground, strangle them until they didn't have a pulse anymore, for sure. Now that he's on the run, I mean, and do you want to play predictions here? What do you think's going to happen? Do you think he's going to kill himself? Do you think? I mean, they could just find. Apparently, they, you know, Dog the Bounty Hunter thought he had a tip where he's in some national swampland in Florida. But any predictions on what if they're going to find him, if he's going to be alive or anything like that?
I mean, you know, I'm not great at the prediction game, but I do hope Dog the Bounty Hunter does find him. I hope he finds him and has a resurgence in his career.
Yeah.
He uses this as a springboard, because I think in Dog's mind, and you know, because I call him Dog because Dwayne Chapman and I are pretty tight. I used to watch his show back in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah,
big fan.
You got to call him Dog.
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I hope Dog found, because like I said, in Dog's mind, he's actually doing this for a noble pursuit. But there's also an ancillary benefit. You know, you get a little press, get a little buzz going back again, maybe get that career back on track after saying the N-word and being recorded on for many years ago.
Oh,
that's well in the past.
Okay.
But, oh, yeah. Yeah, because, you know, he's a old racist white guy. But in his mind, you know, he's probably not like that. He said some words, and then he's forever reviled. And maybe he should be reviled by certain people if they want to hold a grudge for the rest of his fucking life. But now, if he finds this guy, maybe this guy's down in the swamps of Florida. He's right now up to his eyeballs trying to fend off gators, and he's got a dog coming for him. He's going to find him. He's going to track him down. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but it was a great piece of cinema back in the day.
Yeah,
it had a formula and everything. You know, every episode.
I've seen more Dog the Bounty Hunter than I have Jeopardy. So, but
man.
Actually,
so you're a connoisseur then. You know all about it.
Yeah, I've probably seen at least 10 episodes. But I saw somebody post online that I really liked. It said, if Dog the Bounty Hunter, you've probably seen this, if Dog finds Brian Laundrie, I'm never paying taxes again. And that, I do like that, because I saw something that I want to say the federal government has already spent, with the resources they're allocating and all that stuff. Oh, like, we're in the multi-million-dollar range. Just the amount of money spent looking for this guy. I think Dog's doing it all pro bono, which is cool. And this kind of makes me wonder too. And I had a feeling I didn't know if you, like, how much we'd talk about this aspect of it, but like, how much allocation of resources and stuff do you think they give to most? Not just missing people, but like, murders and stuff like that. Because if we've talked about Dog, we've talked about Jeopardy, and I've talked about this show before. The first 48, I believe, and I used to watch. I got caught up in that show for about a year. I just really liked it, and it was like, if you can't find, if you don't have a clue of who's murdered somebody within the first 48 hours, the chances that you're gonna solve it go down to like nothing. And I remember those, like, them searching for people and them searching for tips. They weren't sending full crews. They weren't sending, like, a lot of resources or anything. It was like one kind of overweight detective, kind of walking into, like, a barber shop, like, asking one person and then going to lunch. There wasn't this big thing going on. So, I think it's great for her family. She's getting a lot of resources. They're really determined to track this guy down, and I hope they find him. And I think it's impossible. They can't do this for everybody, but that was my first thought about it. Like, not everybody gets this kind of love and resource allocation, but hey, can't complain about everything, I guess.
No, you can't. Just let
it be.
Look,
yeah.
This is in the zeitgeist. This is in the minds of America. Just let them spend whatever.
Right.
They spend whatever anyway. Right. It's not their money.
I'd rather them spend
it's
that
made up anyway.
Yeah, I'd rather them spend the money there than on the spending money in Guam for climate change. Like, I'm cool with this. Yeah, let's find this dude. Let's put him on trial. Hopefully he's alive. That trial will be like the O.J. Simpson trial, or like, who's that Scott Peterson guy? Yeah. Not only that, but Nancy Grace. I mean, talk about people coming out of nowhere and getting their career picked back up. I saw Nancy Grace on TV. She was doing spots all over the place. Like, this is her thing, man. Like, she's back, and getting her time again in the sun.
Well, everybody needs a resurgence, and you just need that one story, that one thing to take you over the mountain. And this is a great one for them. And like I said, they could spend whatever they want. They have no real budget limits because they have an unlimited budget. We give trillions of dollars to the government. Might as well get a little bit back. And one thing that you said there in the whole statement that kind of bothered me was the fact that you probably watched 10 episodes of Dog the Bounty Hunter. And then you said before that you'd watched more Dog the Bounty Hunter than you had Jeopardy, which implies that you have seen less than 10 episodes of Jeopardy in your entire life.
Yep, that's right.
Is that accurate, sir?
That
you
is
have
accurate.
seen less than holy shit.
Yeah. Let me tell you why.
Wow.
Because, and I've talked to you about this before, because, like, let's say I wanted to watch Jeopardy, I'd say, I wonder if there's a game on. I just always, that was me as a kid, and it'd be like, oh, look, Central Michigan's playing against Tulane. I'll watch that, So I've watched an insane amount of sports, like I've watched basketball, any football game that's ever been on. Doesn't matter the level, it's 1AA, D2, I'm watching it. And I've started to try to watch, like, normal things, and I realize, and I've talked to you about this before, now that I'm older, I realize I don't know all the, like, people are, like, talking about, oh, this movie, a phrase from this movie, or a phrase from this show, or this actor, or whatever, and I'm like, I've missed out on so much, But I've seen less than 10. Now, one thing I've seen a lot of is Wheel of Fortune. My mom loves Wheel of Fortune. To this day, she will not miss a show. and I've seen quite a bit of that. And that, I'm sure that'll be another coveted spot if old Pat Sajak or Vanna White steps down one of these days. But yeah, I've probably seen a million of those just because my mom likes the show.
Yeah, those kind of shows, because especially elderly people or people who have retired really like those shows because those hosts kind of become their friends. And that's what we do with shows. All those people become our friends. That's what we do with podcasts when we listen to Rogan or we listen to Tim Dillon. That's our pal, our weird friend or a good friend. So, yeah, those. And what I found the other day, have you ever seen the movie Beetlejuice?
No.
Have you ever watched that?
I've never seen
motion
it.
Picture? Now it's a classic.
Sorry.
It's a Tim Burton classic. No, I didn't think that you had. But I had to ask you to be polite.
Gotcha.
But what I'm getting at with this little brief aside here, is that I went back and watched Beetlejuice as a grown man last night, actually, and because my daughter had never watched it, and we said, "Oh, you've never watched Beetlejuice? Well, you have to watch it." And then I went back and watched it, and it's not very good. It's really it's really not, because your perception of things when you watch things as a child, it's framed in a different way. Now, I remember back when I watched that movie, I had an old VHS tape of it, and it was one of the few VHS tapes that I had. So I watched it quite a bit. Where you're watching sports, I'm watching movies, as many kids in the 80s did. And I loved that movie. And then I remember watching it, and I'm sure it's not bad. It's got some good performances in it from Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton does a great job, but Beetlejuice himself is only in the movie 15 fucking minutes. The rest of the time, it's just all these ancillary characters to it, and the story is nothing great. It's Beetlejuice, but in our minds, people from the 80s and 90s who watched that movie, it became this classic. And then you go back and you revisit that classic. What I'm saying is, some things are best left in the past. You don't need to bring those things up as adult because you have changed on a cellular level, and you're not going to have the same reaction to it. Not that you think that you would. You might chuckle a bit, but you don't want to ruin what you had before, where it was this deep attachment or deep attraction to the actual piece of art that was produced at the time.
Yeah, I'm having that now where I'm trying to catch up on some of these old movies. And I had that with Rocky. You know, there's a couple of the Rockies, or definitely pieces of the Rocky, where I'm like, why is this popular? Like, why does everyone talk about Rocky? You know, but yeah, it was made in like the 80s or something like that. So, okay, it's kind of nostalgic or whatever. But even, you know,
don't you dare give up now.
Like you mentioned the Josie Wales. I'm like halfway through that one right now, and I think that one kind of stands up. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if you call it a Western or whatever. It's post-Civil War kind of thing, but there's some pieces but I mean, it's super old, but I mean, that one still kind of stands up a little bit. But just, I had the same moment, and I don't know if this is going to make sense to you, but I thought what you said about Beetlejuice, I thought about it last night. So Cincinnati is playing Jacksonville last night, Thursday night football. So I had to tune in, right? Okay. So they did a interesting segment where Boomer Esiason sat down with Joe Burrow, right? And Boomer Esiason was going through some of his old film, and they're kind of breaking it down. And I'm sitting there watching, and yeah, you know, I hate how sports does this because they slow down film. I mean, these guys are going way faster than they really are, and you know, you're watching them and like, But anyway, they're showing Boomer Esiason, and I'm like, wasn't that good, you know? But like, I mean, Boomer Esiason was like a top quarterback back then, and you know,
I recall.
Dude, they ran the ball a lot, I formation. You know, they're not running, they're not spreading them out like they do right now. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Sure. But don't you give up on Rocky now? You just watched Rocky 3, which is probably the second worst Rocky. So
I'm halfway through
Rocky
4.
4
I'm
is coming up.
4, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
How did you stop it? See, that's what gets me about you. You're watching Rocky 4, a legitimate patriotic classic, and you just stop it and walk away from it and come back a couple weeks later. How do you do that?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to watch multiple things. You know, like I told you, the Josie Wales one.
Sure.
I got a lot going on, I guess. Where I don't know how I stopped it, but no, it was good. It was entertaining. I don't know
the way you say that. That motherfucker is fighting the goddamn commies.
Yeah. I think it's about to get better because, like at the beginning, it's like the weird scene with like that robot, and it's just like, I don't know. And again, I'm not a movie guy. There's movies that I like, but anyway.
Yeah, let's not get too far because I don't want to ruin anything for you.
No,
Rocky IV,
for
this
sure,
American classic,
for sure. But no, man. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk to you about road rage a little bit. So
sure.
I don't know if you knew this, but Teslas have cameras on them. I believe at least 4 cameras. And the sweet thing about them is even when they're parked, they're recording. So there's a couple stories out there, and so in Baton Rouge, in your neck of the woods, I know you're not in Baton Rouge, but it's in your state. There's this great video of this hospital parking lot, and this woman it's like her film from her car. She's just kind of looking for a parking spot. I mean, driving around for like 5 minutes. I mean, this place is packed. Anyway, so she finally gets to one, pulls in. Apparently, there was a lady that was already there, an elderly woman. I mean, she looks like she's 80 years old, maybe 90, but she could easily be 60. I mean, you just never know how people age. Anyway, apparently this woman was really upset that her parking spot got taken from her. And so the car is sitting there parked. Next thing you know, this woman walks up and walks by the car like 4 or 5 times and just keys the crap out of it. And, cars get keyed all the time. Things get vandalized all the time. I was interested in this story for 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't know Teslas had cameras on them that keep recording, which I actually love. Like, I kind of want to get a Tesla now. We're actually car shopping at the moment. We just sold an old car, so we're kind of looking for something else. I'm like, man, Teslas might be the way to go. But also, I was kind of wondering, have you ever been that pissed off? Like somebody took your parking spot or somebody cut you off that you would go, to key their car or to like throw something at them.
No, I would never key anyone's car because I'm not a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
But I might confront them if they did something overt. And I've never been pissed off by someone taking a parking spot. What I've been pissed off about is if I'm sitting at a red light and I'm waiting for it to turn red and then, it turned green, and perhaps I didn't go immediately, then someone immediately blows their horn. Now, that will piss me off because that's rude behavior. That's terribly rude behavior. That's like someone yelling at you to move out of the fucking way. And that's what I take it as. So, yes, that does rile me a bit, but I would never key someone's car or damage their property simply because I'm not that kind of guy, and I don't want to be that type of guy. Mm-hmm. But yes, with the cameras on the Teslas, that's actually how they navigate. Teslas use their cameras actually to drive, and their auto drive feature. That's probably the wrong terminology for it. But as opposed to like a GM, when they're making their cars, they're making a laser-based self-driving navigation feature. Tesla believes that since humans navigate using their eyeballs, that's probably the best way to go when it comes to designing a car. So that's the philosophy behind that. And as far as I'm always recording, where does all this data go? I actually know where it goes because there's a central command sort of AI thing that's there, and it's supposed to be updated weekly now. And it makes the cars even better. It makes them drive even better because it gives updated real-time data all the time and updated once a week. And I'm sure to get to the point where it's updated daily or instantly. But yeah, and as far as the Tesla goes, they're great cars, I hear, and all the cars will be going along that way until our power grid goes down. But that's definitely going to be, in the next 10 years, probably half the cars on the road will be electric.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great feature. I love the cameras on them. I mean, it's apparently there's a few different, I want to say there was like a Twitter account that this article talked about that's all Tesla footage of Teslas being keyed or being vandalized because they have the cameras on them. And I guess a lot of this is the first time I heard about it, so I guess a lot of people don't know about that feature. So if you're one to vandalize, you might want to stay away from Teslas because you will be on camera.
Yeah. Just another great feature about this incredible automobile.
Yeah.
That's our new sponsor, by the way.
Oh, that'd be sweet. That'd be sweet. So, another story I wanted to talk about. It's not really a story, but I saw some stuff out about it, and I'm not trying to go down the COVID path because, but it's always.
I'm always game for a little COVID.
It's always in the news, but so it's been thoroughly documented that unhealthy people, overweight, diabetic, whatever, apparently are more susceptible to, if they get COVID, your chances of surviving are less. You have comorbidities, whatever. There's a vaccine now or whatever, but apparently, even with that knowledge out there, people know, hey, if you're overweight, apparently a new study was put out there that Americans are still not getting healthier. Even knowing this, people are actually continuing to get heavier and so on. And so I thought that was interesting. And also, I've kind of noticed, and I don't consume a ton of like cable news or anything like that, but when you do watch it, there's really not a whole lot about that. It's more about like just getting the vaccine versus like, hey, get the vaccine and like, why don't you, I know you're out there, you take what, like 20,000 steps a day, you're always lifting things and, working on the farm or whatever. So, you live a pretty active lifestyle, and why do you think, number one, why do you think it's not talked about more? And also, if with people knowing that you're more susceptible to be killed or, to die early from this kind of stuff, how come no one's changing their lifestyle?
Okay, there's a lot of different things there. The reason why right now it's not talked about more is because there's an agenda. And I don't think the agenda is necessarily nefarious, right? I think overriding, people say get the vaccine, and they don't want to start talking about all these comorbidity factors, because that's just going to take away from the fact that if you just tell somebody to get a vaccine and it's going to make them all better, they just look at everybody as a child, as a stupid child. So don't take any actual personal responsibility for your health. Just take this shot. Now, after that's happened, then perhaps they could push a healthier lifestyle. But they know it's not going to work, because when Michelle Obama tried to make kids eat healthier back in the Obama presidency, people lost their fucking minds. It's like, this is disgusting. This is torturous. And now you have body acceptance, and which is good. If you're fat and you like it, cool. Or maybe we can just we've made it to be just a normal thing for a person to weigh 400 pounds. And you can say this all you want. You go to any kind of big box retail store and you walk around in there, a good 50 to 60% of them are terribly overweight and out of shape. And, so there's never any personal responsibility when it comes to your own physical being and your own physical health. It's always somebody else's job to take care of you, and it's not your fault, and you're fine the way you are. You don't need to change. And if someone does tell you need to change, they're fat shaming you. And it's not just that. It's also the heart disease and the all the other associated things, the strokes and the cancers. Everybody has their own little thing. So just go down this path, do what you want, take the shot, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. They're not saying you're going to be fine, but like I said right before the show, I was just scrolling through, and now the CDC urges pregnant women to get the shot. Urges them, get it immediately. Why? Are pregnant women just falling out left and right? Are the ERs filled with them? Why are we giving pregnant women shots for the COVID when there doesn't seem to be a trend of them just dying left and right?
Yeah.
So I don't. There's clearly an agenda here to just get the shot into every body that you possibly can. Now, some people think it's a huge conspiracy. They're going to be, once everybody has this, it's the mark of the beast, it's Satan. And then some people say those people are fucking retarded, which I'm probably one of those people. But not the people that say it's the mark of Satan. I'm the people that say that's retarded. But I've been wrong about everything, because I thought that the American people would, kind of come around and say, hey, that's enough of this nonsense. But no, they haven't. But about a half have. So when it comes to why they're not pushing that, it won't fucking work anyway. They're already too far gone.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's part of the problem anyway. That's part of the solution, or part of the reason anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you brought up a good point. The fat shaming, body acceptance thing. I actually, while I was watching Thursday Night Football, Bengals and Jacksonville Jaguars, they had an interesting commercial. And it was, oh man, I forgot the tagline on it. But it was Old Navy, and it was,
Oh God.
It was kind of like kind of heavier ladies
Sure,
on
thicker.
it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, nothing that was like alarming or anything like that. And maybe it's just kind of more noticeable because usually they have like models and stuff like that. And anyway, at the tagline, it was like body equality or something like that. And I was kind of thinking, man, hey, there's been all this talk for years of body acceptance. They finally get kind of heavier people on there, and they got to put the tagline on there. You know what I mean? Like, why not? If you're going to have them on there, just treat it normal, I guess. But anyway,
because it is normal.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I mean most places you go, there's
people.
There's a lot of heavy people, and it's kind of everywhere. And I guess, but so tell me this, like, there's always been, kind of in shape dudes on commercials or shows and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, did it ever get, maybe is it like a more of a female thing where they're more susceptible for that? Or like, did you ever feel like, oh man, I gotta, like really, worry about like how I like my body and all that stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Or is it more a female thing?
No, it's men as well. I mean, if you're a guy and there's a lot of guys who just let go and say, well, fuck it, this is what's going to happen. And then they kind of chuckle about it. And, they're proud to take their shirt off at the beach and show their big belly. They don't give a fuck. I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But underneath, most guys are just like women, right? They don't want to take their shirt off and show their love handles. They wish they were in better shape. Because, you're trying to strive for some kind of physical ideal just like everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with striving for it. You're more than likely not going to succeed, but that's the whole point. You're trying to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And then there's the opposite extreme where there's all these people who are meticulous, so meticulous about their physical appearance. That's all they seem to care about. That's half of Instagram, where it's just about this body ideal that you're trying to shoot for. And of course, somewhere, as always, in the middle is probably what you want to go for. You want to look good. You want to be healthy as you can. You want to be healthy, and you want to be able to do a push-up or two, maybe run a mile down the road, or maybe you just want to go to the extreme. You can do whatever you want, but I don't think it's any different for men or women when it really comes down to it. Even if the guy says, I don't really give a shit. I got this big fucking beer belly. I don't give a goddamn. But he does most of the time he does give a shit about how he looks and how he's perceived by the opposite sex or the same sex or however, whatever. So I don't think there's a ton of difference there. And we're kind of skimming the surface here when we're talking about weight because it's a touchy issue. Mm-hmm. I don't think that, I don't want to shame anyone particularly for being large, but when you have health problems as a result of it, then there's a clear correlation there whether it hurts your feelings or not. So I don't have any problem with it. And whether or not you are big or not, you don't have to be big to have health problems. There's underlying issues as well, just unhealthy eating and smoking and drinking too much and all that stuff that doesn't show up as a bigger body. Sometimes it's just inside, you're just rotten at the core. Mm-hmm. And that definitely tends to hurt you as well. But we do skim the surface on this when we look back at the population in the 1970s and 1980s, and they were clearly not as heavy as they are now. So is it a byproduct of the more accepting nature? I don't think so. I think it's the food. I think it's our food supply and what we generally eat on a day-to-day basis, and the fact that we don't move. Mm-hmm. We just go someplace and we sit there, and then when we get wherever we're going, we're going to be looking at our phones anyway. We're not going to be moving around. If you move around and you don't eat too much, chances are you're not going to be too heavy, and or you might be heavy, but you might be fit. Mm-hmm. But if you don't do that, then you're going to develop all these different things most of the time. Mm-hmm. So there's a clear, like you could see the American society, American civilization is clearly probably twice as heavy as they used to be. You can look up facts and figures about the average weight of a man. I remember reading stats back in the 1960s. The average weight of a guy was about 168 pounds, whereas today in America, the average weight of a guy is almost 200 pounds. He's 190 something, and he's not a fit 190. He's a flabby 190. He's 30 pounds heavier than he was in 1960 and only a half inch taller.
Yeah.
So something has happened.
So it's 190 something, and the average height is what? Like 5'9"? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a thick little bitch. You're at 5'9", 199. It's not like 190. It's almost 200. It's 198, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not big pecs and shoulders that's pulling them up to 200. It's portly love handles.
Yeah.
And am I fat shaming? No, I'm not really fat shaming. I'm just pointing out statistics, and if you call that shame, then you call that shame.
Yeah.
Which most people don't on this kind of level, on this kind of basis.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I tried, I sort of got in better shape after I stopped working offshore. And number one, I wish, not like it needs to be talked about more with this COVID thing, because I think maybe everybody already knows. They just choose not to do something about it, maybe. But I mean, I think you're exactly right. If somebody doesn't want to change, cool. Like that's your choice. I'm fine with it. I don't need to shame you. I really don't even need to talk too much about it. But it just takes effort, right? I mean, to get in shape, it really does. And I don't know if this happens to you, but like right now, I'm in a time where I've like overcommitted to do a lot of things. Like I'm helping coach soccer. I have a job. We have a podcast that we do, and then there's like things we have to do with it where we're like making clips and different things like that. So we have that. I'm trying to be a parent. We just got a dog. Like I have too much on my plate, and it's easy to like, not eat well or not exercise. So I think most people are probably in the same thing. Most people have jobs. Most people have kids, and but their health is something they just kind of put off to the side. And anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting because, I mean, I feel like we've heard about it so much. Like these are the people who are most at risk, but it's like you never really hear a whole lot about it. It's like, no, just go get the vaccine, and good. Hey, if they get it, maybe they'll be okay if they get COVID or whatever. But
maybe they will.
Yeah, maybe they will. But yeah, they probably also need to make a couple lifestyle changes. But hey, who am I?
Yeah, and really the people who are most at risk are like 85. Those fuckers, those poor unfortunate souls, like our President Pro Temp, they are the ones who are really dying. Yeah, the average age of death from COVID is around 80, I think. I don't want to give misinformation. You can go look this information up for yourself. It's readily available. If you scroll through the first 9 pages of Google, you can find the actual information there. So the average age of death is around 80. I would say that's fair. So your chances of dying around 80 are pretty solid one way or the other, whether you're in really good shape or you're not in really good shape, because of the mechanical body that's inside, all the organs that are responsible for your life, the life support system for your nervous system and your brain does break down.
Yeah.
And if you can't breathe and your lungs don't work, you will die. Yeah. As far as I can tell.
So one other thing, I know we probably got to go, but so I think you're somewhere around 40. So if the average age of death is around 80, you're about halfway there, right? You and me both.
78 is the lifespan for a dude in the United States of America, so I'm a little over. I'm almost 42 this month. I'll be 42.
Yeah. Okay, so you're getting closer to the end, and so am I.
Sure.
I don't know the best. I really didn't plan talking about this at all, but do you feel like... you know what I mean? Like people get to the end and, you wonder, did I really live? Did I live this kind of life or whatever? Like there's a good chance we got maybe max 40 years left. You know what I mean? Like, do you really feel like you're, living it or whatever that means? Yeah. I mean, do you know where I'm going with this?
I know where you're going. You're Congratulations, David. You've reached your midlife. And people make jokes about that. They're talking about midlife crises. Mm-hmm. And really what it is, it's an understanding of the fact that you have less time here than you have been here. Mm. So you're like, how did I get here? I thought it would be something else at this time. And then you look at yourself in the mirror and you begin to see the cracks around the edges. And some people begin to see the huge fissures around the edges, and their skin hangs on them. And sometimes in the wrong light, when they look at their hands, they're like, this isn't my hand. There's wrinkles all over it. How did that happen? And my hair is thinning, or perhaps it's falling down. And what have I really done? Well, that's what happens with all humankind. Mm-hmm. they all get to that point, and they, no matter how long their life is, they look back on it and say, man, I could have done this. But you've done a lot of cool shit along the way. You have to take the positives. Just like with your day, you say, I have such a busy day. And you're talking about it just a few seconds ago, how some people, let life take them down, and they get kind of mired up in all of the things that they have to do, and they don't actually take any time for themselves. That's what happens with many people, is that they're just living their life, and they don't ever have any self-reflection. And any man who has any kind of self-reflection, or woman for that matter, is going to have some regrets. And if you don't have regrets, you're lying to yourself, or you're a fucking asshole. So yeah, there's some things you did wrong along the way, but there's a lot of shit you did right, or at least right enough to make your life the way it is right now. So yes, when you're really looking inside at yourself, you're gonna be faced with a lot of things, a lot of truths that you may not want to see, but it's still good to look. And it is kind of creepy, if you want to use that terminology, to know that you're closer to your own mortality. But there's just kind of an acceptance to it, where you can say, yeah, I kind of get it. Mark Twain fucking died. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die too. You get all these heroes and all these guys and geniuses who came before you, and you're comparing yourself to them. You're like, well, they seem to have perished as well. And that's what everyone kind of thinks, is like, when you're young, you don't really think, even if you think about mortality, you don't really, really think about it until it gets closer, until you get that random chest pain. Then it kind of hits you. It's like, oh shit, this is a system that can break down. And not only can it break down, it definitely will break down from some way. And that's part of our society as well, where we're always constantly saying, that's not going to happen to me if I eat healthy, if I take these vitamins, if I have zinc, vitamin D and vitamin C and the B complex and all that good stuff. I'm going to, oh shit, I'm not. No matter what you do, it's coming for you. So yeah, reflect and pause and do what you will. Try to take some time during the day to maybe not key somebody's Tesla, maybe just not be a douchebag. Try to be as nice as you can. Realize that you can have a little fun though. Like when I was talking earlier about those old people who were reaching out to me in the nursing home, I didn't actually do that. But I don't have to qualify or quantify the fact that I didn't actually do it. I can say whatever the fuck I want. That's where we are in a society where you can't say whatever the fuck you want. That's what I was getting at with that Mike Richards bit in the beginning, where he was just being funny. He thought he was being funny and provocative, but he was a young douchebag being an asshole. You're going to be an asshole occasionally. You're going to have your bad moments.
Exactly. And I don't want him on Jeopardy, even though I don't watch it. I like this lady because when she was talking about the whole Rent thing and musical thing, I was like, man, like I didn't see that coming from her. I love that. I've never understood musicals. Like my family, they're kind of into the arts and so on. And I've been to a musical or two. I've never seen Rent. I've heard of it. And my mom used to like. She used to like watching kind of Cats or some of these other musicals and stuff like that, just because of the costumes and the whatever. And never made sense to me. I mean, I have recently seen Hamilton, which I thought was like, okay, it's like kind of entertaining. I like history, so okay, there's something there, but it's not something I would pay like $1,000 to go see. And there's a lot of worse musicals out there than Hamilton. But anyway, when she said that, I was like, wow, okay, hey man, I think they made a good pick.
Well, that's good. I agree with you on that. When they chose Mike Richards before, I was confused, but then I kind of understood that he just wanted the job. But so I'm glad she's got it. I think if there's any theme to this show, sure, we've hit a lot of different topics. We've talked about a lot of different things. At the end, we kind of went on the mortality. But I think if we can draw anything from this show, is that Mayim Bialik, probably not how you pronounce her name, was the best choice for the Jeopardy host in 2021.
Yeah. Yep. And yep, that's probably a good place to end this thing. So, you got anything else to add before we finish it up?
Well, I could talk about death and dying all day. That's kind of my bag.
Yeah. But
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up. We got some living to do out there. We got things to accomplish, and you have to probably pick up puppy shit right now. I don't know why you did that. That's a terrible decision.
No, actually, my saint of a wife, she helped me out, so she's with the puppy. And I think the puppy loves her way more than it loves me, so it's probably just like sleeping next to her. When it's next to me, it's always wanting to like chew on me and bite me and things of that nature. But yeah, she's
you show it who's boss.
Exactly. But she helped me out, kept it quiet. She's probably asleep right now. So But yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having the conversation. And again, everybody, we are on YouTube. We're on. Make sure to review us every once in a while. I always forget to talk about that, but I guess it's important for the algorithm. If you get a good review, if you get a good rating, we got a handful of them, but so anybody who's already done that, like you're a great person. So, but yeah. Well, thanks for being here, man. And if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll talk again some other time.